Hello friends, today we will discuss types of user-defined functions. For better understanding of arguments and return value from the function, user-defined function can be categorized as function with no arguments and no return value, function with no arguments and a return value, function with arguments and no return value, function with arguments and a return value. So these are the categories of the C functions. One by one we will discuss all these categories. Let us take the first category of the function with no arguments and no return value. With no arguments means function don't have any argument, that is any parameter list, and it is also not returning any value after processing the data. This is an example program, so we'll try to understand this example program. So first statement has include within less than and greater than sign is included the standard input output .h header file. The next statement void check prime number open and close parenthesis semicolon. This is the prototype declaration for the function. So check prime number is the name of the function, and within open and close parenthesis no parameter list is there. That is, this function is not receiving any data from the calling function. Similarly, before the name of the function, void keyword is written. So use of this void indicate that this function check prime number function is not returning any value to the calling function. Then int main open and close parenthesis, this is the name of the function. So inside the body of this main function, first statement is check prime number open and close parenthesis and at the end semicolon. So this is the call statement, that is, this function is check prime number function is called by the main function. So when this is called by the main function, control from this point goes to the function, and here it is written void check prime number open and close parenthesis. So control goes to this function. In the body of this function, first statement is int n comma I comma flag equal 0 semicolon. Using this statement, three integer variables are declared, n, I and flag. Simultaneously, flag is initialized to the 0. The next statement printf, enter a positive integer colon. So this statement is printed on the output screen. So with this statement, user enters a positive number that is taken in and is stored with the variable n by the scanf function. Then next one is the looping statement, for looping statement. So for I equal to 0 semicolon I less than n semicolon plus plus I. So this is I equal to initial value of counter variable is set as a 2 and I less than n, this is condition, and this plus plus I just incrementing the value of I. So inside body of the for loop, if n modulo I equal double equal 0, if a number divided by any value between 1 and itself comes out to be 0, then flag is set to 1. Otherwise, if it is not 0, then next statement, that is body of the if statement, is not executed, and then value of I is incremented. So in this way, go on incrementing the value of I till its value is less than n. Remainder is found out, and if remainder comes out to be equal to 0, then flag is set to 1. Otherwise, it remains to initial value, that is to the 0. Now, once condition becomes false after incrementing the value of I, that is, if value of I becomes equal to n, then condition becomes false. Then control comes out of the for looping statement. Here, if flag equals 1, if value of flag is set to equal to 1, then printf %d. At this point, compiler searches for the variable value. So here it is n. What is the entered number is printed here. So n is not a prime number because it is divided by some number which is lesser than n. So it is not a prime number. If this condition is false, then else part is executed and printf %d, that is n, is a prime number. So in this way, here we are seeing that while calling the function, this function is not having any arguments list. So naturally, while calling the function, no value is passed to this function, and also while completing its task, the check prime number function is also not returning to the calling function. But after completing its task, control goes to the next statement where this function was called in, and next statement is return 0. So this statement tells operating system that program is executed properly. So when this program is run, we get the output like this one. Enter a positive integer, and when user enter the 12, then 12 is tested, and when it is tested, 12 is not a prime number because we know that 12 is divided by 3, it is divided by 4. So if a positive number is not divisible by any number other than 1 and itself, then we say that it is a prime number. Now next let us take a function with no arguments and a return value. In this example, in these categories, function is not having any arguments, but it is returning a value. So an example program may be written like this one. So in this example program, first statement is hash include within less than and greater than sign stdio.h. Then integer, get integer open and close parenthesis. This is the prototype declaration, function declaration. So in this one, name of the function is get integer. Within open and close parenthesis, nothing is mentioned. But before this one, integer is written. It means that this function, whenever it is called in, it is returning an integer value to the calling function. Then in the main function, int n I flag 0 semicolon. 3 integer variables are declared. n, I and flag. Simultaneously flag is initialized to 0. Then n equals get integer open and close parenthesis at the end semicolon. So using this statement, get integer, this function is called in, and when this function is called in, control from this point to goes to the called function, that is int get integer open and close parenthesis. Inside the body of this function, int n semicolon, and integer variable n is defined. Then print f, enter a positive integer colon. So this message is printed on the output screen, and with this message a user enters a positive number that is taken in and is stored with the variable n by the scanf function. Then last statement is return n. What is the value of n? That is returned to the calling function, and that value is assigned to variable n in this one. Then for I equal to 2, I less than or equal to n by 2, I plus plus. What is the procedure for checking the number whether it is a prime or not? We already have discussed that one. So that number is taken in and checked whether it is a prime number or not, and then result is displayed. So in this example here we see that we call the function, and while calling the function using this statement, we are not passing any value. When this value function is called in, this value returns a value to the calling function, and that's why this type of category of the function is function with no arguments. Function get integer is not having any argument and return a value, but it is returning a value. Whatever is number entered by the user, it is returning to the calling function. So when this program is executed, we get the output like this one. Enter a positive integer. When user enters 29, then 29 is a prime number. This output is displayed. Now next category is function with arguments and no return value. In this example, in this category we will see that function has argument list, but when it is called in, it is not going to return any value. So this program will show this type of categories. So in this program, again here already we are familiar with this type of the function void check prime and display. So this is a function prototype declaration. Name of this function is check prime and display. Entered number is tested whether that is prime number or not, and also it is displayed by the function itself. And in the open and close parenthesis here, int n, an integer parameter exists are present, and also see that before function name void keyword is used. It means that this function when called in is not returning any value to the calling function. So next one is the main function. Inside the body of the main function, int n semicolon. This statement declares integer variable n. Then print f statement prints enter a positive integer colon on the output screen, whereby user enters a number that is taken in and is stored with the variable n by the scanf function. Next statement, check prime and display within open and close parenthesis n. What is the enter number with variable n that is passed in while calling this function? So when this function is called in with passed number, control goes to this function, and here void check prime and display within open and close parenthesis int n is written. So when a value is passed to a function while calling, this is the actual value, actual parameter, and are also called actual arguments. And in function declaration int n, this is the formal parameter list. So that actual value is copied to with this formal parameter variable n. Then within the body of this function int I comma flag equal to 0 semicolon. I, flag or integer variables are declared, and simultaneously value 0 is assigned to the flag. Then for I equal to 0, I less than or equal to n/2 semicolon plus plus I. Using this one or using this program, a number is tested whether it is a prime number or not. So this thing we already have discussed that one. That is, a number is going to be divided by a number greater than 1, that is here from 2 to number which is less than n by 2. So if number is divisible by any number within this range, the number entered number is not a prime number, and accordingly flag is set as a 1. If it is not divisible, condition is not true, then this flag remains to its value 0. And once it is true, that is number is divisible by in this range, flag equal to 1 is set, and then next statement bring the control out of the if statement, and out of the if statement here value of I is incremented. So in this way, when actually this so this value is incremented, and for each value condition is tested. And once here I just told you that when break condition becomes true for the if statement, that is remainder comes out to be equal to 0, control comes out of the for looping statement. And here, depending on the condition whether flag is set to 1 or not, result is displayed. If it is set to 1, it means that number n is not a prime number. If it is not set to 1, then number is a prime number. So this logic we already have discussed. So this is the same logic. Only we have to see that when in this program function has argument list, but when this function is called in, this function is not returning any value to the calling function. So after displaying the output, control goes to the next function where this function was called in, and that is nothing but the return 0. So this statement is for informing the operating system that program is executed properly. So when this program is run, we get the output like this one. Enter a positive integer. When user enters the 36, 36 not a prime number is displayed. Now next and last one category is function with arguments and a return value. And an example program is again like this one, and again same functions are written, but in this example program here we see that integer check prime number, there is a parameter list. So arguments with function with arguments, so this function is having argument list, and also before name of this one int keyword is written. It means that this function is returning a value to the calling function. So let us see the what is written in the body of the main function, int n comma flag. Using this statement, two integer variable n and flag is declared. Next statement, printf, enter a positive integer colon. This message is displayed on the output screen, whereby user enters a positive number that is taken in and is stored with the variable n with scanf function. Next statement is a flag equal check prime number n. So check prime number is called in, and while calling in this function, value of n is passed to this function, and when it is called in, control goes to the called function. So passed value is stored with the variable n that is present in the argument list. Then within the body of this function int I semicolon, integer variable I is declared, and again entered number is divided by a range of values from 2 to n by 2, and if that number is divisible by any number within this range, then return 1. Value of 1 is returned, otherwise return 0. 0 is returned. So if 1 is returned, it means that entered number is not a prime number. If number is not divisible by any number within this range, then return 0. 0 is returned to the calling function, and depending on that one, if flag equals 1, that is if 1 is returned, that is when function is returning a value that is assigned to the flag variable. So depending on this if else statement, if flag equals 1, if it is equal to 1, then percentage d, that is value of n. N is not a prime number, else n is a prime number, it is printed. So in this way we see that in this program called function is having a argument list, and simultaneously it is returning a value to the calling function. So when this program is run, we get the output like this one. Enter a positive integer. When user enter the 22, we get the output 22 is not a prime number because it is divisible by 2, it is divisible by the 11. So in this way we discussed 4 categories of the C functions. So I hope it would be understood by all of you. So at this point we ends our discussion. Until next period, bye and have a nice day.